Hi, it's a Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching today. Let's talk about some summer eyeshadow picks. These are palettes. I don't think any of these are new. No, none of them are. Every single one of these have been around for a while. And these are the sorts of palettes that I crave when the weather warms up. I tend to, wear something like this. It's a little bronzier, that's a little bit warmer. That doesn't mean that every single one of these is a warm eyeshadow, because if you're not a warm eyeshadow fan, don't worry, I've got a cool choice for you. I've got some that have nice options both ways. But let me jump into what I'm wearing right now. I love a really kind of all over warm bronzy look. And I feel like that's what I've got going on here. A warmer blush, a warmer lip, a warmer eye. And for that eye, I started out by reaching for this. This is one of the Petit Fours from Viseart. This is the Amelie, and it looks like this. And I am wearing all four of these shades on the eyes. These are what the shadows look like. I do have a video trying this complete palette on if you want to see it. I'll link it for you in the description box down below. But I was working with this and like, you know what? I want a little darker. I want a little bit lighter. So I pulled something in. My goal was to use just this, but I wanted just a little bit more to play with. So I decided to pair it with this today. This is one of my favorite summer palettes, and I think it's really designed to be a summer palette. This is the Sol de Plage from Viseart, but look, we've got browns, we've got yellows, golds, and then we have this really fun orange and blue. Like these colors, these pops in here are really interesting and can be lots of fun. But pair these guys with the nude tones you have in here, like the darker browns and this nice tan shade, some of the lighter, almost like buttery yellows down here. You can get a really wide range of looks from this, and with the exception of this blue, which is really pretty patterned on the eye. Part of me is just like, where could I put this right now? Not that I need any of this, but I'm just like, let's just play a little bit. I really feel like this is a very warm leaning palette. Now that I've kind of committed to it, I'm like, both sides, please. You can build the blue up in here to be like this on your eye. You can, but I like taking just a really thin wash of it and tapping it over the center of the eye just to change the overall tone and color. I think it's really pretty and really fun. I am a huge fan of Viseart eyeshadows. I love the smaller quads. I love things like this. And the one thing you might notice here is that these are all the same size, and guess what? They're all magnetic. So if you ever have like a couple of these and you want to create like maybe your own quad, but you want to incorporate maybe some shades from here, you can swap them out. That's the fantastic part about these. I really like Viseart eyeshadows. I don't need an eyeshadow primer. These are just on my bare lid. Maybe come like late July, early August, I'll probably pair these with a primer. Otherwise, they might just kind of crease a little bit, because as temperatures rise, so does my like sebum production. But right now, for the bulk of the year, I use these without an eyeshadow primer, and I love them. I also love that even though I am 48, these textured shadows don't make my eyelids look older or chunky or crepey. I love the texture of the mattes, the texture of the shimmers, and we've got some really fun warm options here with the Amelie and the Sol de Plage. This next palette is one that gives just a plethora of textures, mattes, metallics, creams. I love it so much. And it does have a lot of warmth to it while still being anchored in a little bit of a rosy tone. And this is the Major Dimensions 2 from Patrick Ta. I am head over heels. Like, I will wear this all year long, but give it to me in the summertime and I am so happy. So first thing you should know is these first two guys here are cream eyeshadows, and they are beautiful. They're fantastic as a base. They're fantastic just like swiped on the eye, boom, out the door with the mascara. These are great, but I like that they have a little window to make sure that we're not getting any chunks of glitter in there from the more shimmery shades or any powder from the mattes. But what really keeps me coming back, because I love a spangled eye all the time, but especially in the summer, are these guys. Look how pretty these are. These are so stunning. The metallic shades in here, I don't know for sure because I don't have the first one, but I heard are a different texture than the original Major Dimensions. The first one that tends to be a little bit more warm toned and neutral. The textures in there, there's fewer of the metallic shades, and the textures are a little bit different from reviews I've seen. I really love these. And if you're wanting to do a really easy eye, you could pair these two together and out the door. If you know, want to like try a bunch of them, of course they are all, you know, they work well together, but I love that we have like some deeper tones all the way to lighter tones, and they kind of pair nicely in duos. That is one of my favorite things about this palette. But there are days that I will take, you know, just like 2 mattes like this, blend these, and be out the door. I mean, no shimmer, no nothing. These are fantastic. I love this, and I lean on this heavily in the summertime. If you like to do a super lazy eye look that doesn't look lazy, look no further than this beauty right here. This is the Flower Beauty Desert Lights. I love this palette. I feel like the textures of these eyeshadows are they feel like luxury eyeshadows. They don't feel like they're from the drugstore. The other thing is, I'll just tell you, I am not afraid to wear one shade all over. You know, if it gets in the crease and there's a little shimmer in the crease, I don't care. I'm not the person who really adheres to the, well, let's put a matte in the crease and keep this solely to the lid. No, 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 no. It's gonna go wherever I want it, and I'm just gonna be happy, and we're gonna move on. But some of the shades in here that just make me like gaga. Oh, I love these. Look, look. Look, I feel like these have a little bit of a different texture. The ones from Patrick Ta, I feel like some of the shades are the same, but these have more of a feeling, if you are familiar with Sydney Grace, the pressed pigments, because they have a slight creaminess to them. And I feel like the Patrick Ta ones, the metallics in here, the more I put my finger in them, they press down a little bit firm. And I can still get them up and they still look beautiful, but these are like effortless. You will see that there is sometimes a little bit, if you know, aren't careful in the way that you apply it, you can have a little bit of fallout, but I think it's more for an application issue as compared to the formula itself. Because I just, you know, swirl my finger in there, and then if I have too much on my finger and I'm swiping it on my lid, I'm definitely gonna have, you know, some extra. But as you see here, like if you take the time to carefully apply and blend out, you're not really gonna get any fallout. And they are ridiculously shiny. I am head over heels for this formula. So I will take one shade, I'll pick, you know, do I want kind of like something a little bronzier? Do I want something a little pinker? I'll just like blend the edge and like mascara liner, and I'm done. Love this, use this so much, but this is the sort of color story that really appeals to me, more of a rosy, but with a warm lean to it. If you're looking for a small, edited, but luxurious palette, oh, let me tell you about this little beauty from Lisa Eldridge. This is the Cinnabar palette. This has a lot of those really pretty warm tones. It has mattes, it has metallics, it has some of the most elegant, like this shade right here is such a pretty dark brown. The mattes in here are so pretty. They're very buttery. You see how this one almost has like a little bit of a shine to it? That's the great thing about these formulas. I really, really like the mattes in here, and you're getting an equal split of 3 mattes and 3 shimmers. The metallics in here are really pretty. I feel like these two have a little bit more of a sparkle, and this one always looks just a hair more satin on the lid for me, a little bit warmer. But these are stunning eyeshadows. They're $62 for this palette. If you want something that's small, something that's compact, something that if you burn through one shade, you can replace just one shade, because you can do that with these palettes. I would really recommend, if you like a bronze warm eyeshadow, I would say this is a great investment, because you can, you know, just use something back here to push out the one pan, put a new one in, you're off and running. I could definitely see myself like going through this shade. Out of all of them, this one has the biggest divot. This one, and oddly enough, this one here. So when I run through those, I know I can actually just replace the pan. That's fabulous. The other thing is, I love a small edited palette, and these are just so beautiful. They feel good in the hand. They're not really big. If you're going on vacation, you want to take something small that has options, one of these would be perfect. If you love a smaller 6-pan palette that has a more curated color story, another one that just is so beautiful and so easy to use for summer is this. This is the Amber palette from Wayne Goss. Now, I love Wayne's 6-pan palettes. I think they're stunning. I didn't think I was gonna like this one, because when this one launched last year, I was like, no, that's not for me. And it was mainly because I really wasn't in a moment of wearing, I was loving cool eyeshadows, and this one is so warm, you know, like really warm here. A lot of this is super, super, super warm. And when I got it, I was like, oh, I was wrong. I was wrong. This is stunning. Two of my favorite shades in here are the ones that I pair together regularly. I'll open this up and I'll grab these two. And this is a matte, kind of slightly warmer brown, and a satin kind of bedroomized brown. This is one of those that it's so easy to, you know, like just on the eye, like this one by itself. It's not too glittery, it's not too much, it doesn't bring out the texture, it wears beautifully all day long. It buffs out so perfectly. I also have always loved the celestial toppers that Wayne has in here, and it can really transform an entire look. Look how magical that is. I feel like if you want some depth, you can get it from this really pretty berry shade. If you want a little bit more warmth, this kind of peach leaning shade here. And this one, although it is a little bit darker than my natural skin tone, it's really great for just kind of like blending out the edges. For someone who's fair, this is one of those that I love, where it takes me to a place where there's warmth, where there's depth with that berry tone. You have like this sparkle here, or if I want to do something easy, just this shade. This is really great for me for summer all year long, but I particularly think of it as something that I'm kind of craving when I'm doing a more bronzy look. This next palette is literally called Summer Days. This is from Sydney Grace. This is the light version of this palette. I really like that this has, you know, a cool option here. These guys can be a little bit cool. If you want more warmth, you can go up through here or reach from one of these guys across the bottom. I love that you have both here, but this really feels just slightly warmer to me, and it does have a decidedly kind of rosy lean to it. I feel like they gave this the perfect name for the palette, like a Summer Days palette. This just screams summer to me and is one of my favorites to use all year long, but particularly in summer. Now, if you want just a few more options, you know I don't love a big palette. Sometimes I get a little overwhelmed, but this one has warm, has cool, has like, you know, pops of color. And this is the Unbreakable Bond. This is new for this year from Sydney Grace. So this is what it looks like. If you want to see, I did a video, I'll link it in the description bar down below, but I love that we have, like, look at these, look at how cool these are right through here. And these two guys here on the bottom, we do have a lot of warmth, like right in through here. And then we have some really easy shades that we can use, you know, to bring light, or these guys down here to bring texture. I wasn't sure that I was ever going to use like this shade here. It's spectacular. One of my favorite shades is in here. This one here is called Tiara. It's one of the cooler pressed pigments. This is always what draws me to Sydney Grace, these like really crazy intense metallics, but it's these mattes, and you can see there's a little sparkle in here from previous watching, but the mattes, they are buttery, they are soft, they blend with no effort. This is what brings me in because I love sparkle. I'm like a little bird, you know, looking for shiny things for my nest, but this is what keeps me coming back. And the combo of these together, especially in this color story, this Unbreakable Bond, is phenomenal. This is another one of those palettes from Sydney Grace that comes in a light as well as a deep version, as does Summer Days, as does the new one from Glitzy Fritzy. That's what I love about Sydney Grace. They are so inclusive, knowing that although these shades here, like these lighter shades or these mid-tone shades, might look good on somebody with my skin tone, they may not work for everybody. So they create two versions of these palettes that have like these neutrals in them. But I love this one. It's newer. I'm still kind of getting to know it, but it's so much fun. And I can't wait to like take this when I go on vacation this summer, like putting this in there. Cause like this many eyeshadows, I've got options for days. Because of my personal makeup aesthetic, I tend to lean very heavily on neutrals, especially warm neutrals in the summertime. But I do like having my options. Like this one here has warm and cool options in it. Love that. Another one that has warm and cool options that I absolutely love is this. This is from Nabla. This is the Nude palette, the side-by-side Nude palette. Oh, this one's really good. Because you do have like these cooler options in through here. You do definitely like have warmth, like you have warmth up in through here. You've got a black, you've got like some really light shades. You have various different options for browns, and I love this. I have always loved these metallic finishes from Nabla, but it's these mattes. These are so good. They can be a little bit drier than the ones from Sydney Grace, but they blend very easily. I usually do my eyes first because I can get a little sparkle fallout from these, or if I'm too heavy loading up my brush, I can get a little bit of like, especially these darker shades, like little chunks falling out below the eye. Of course you can clean it up, but I tend to, when I'm reaching for this palette or some other brands, do my eyes first and then put on my face. If you are smarter than me and you do that all the time, good for you. But I really love the fact that we have warm and cool options here. You know I love something shiny and sparkly, and look how gorgeous these are. These are fantastic. This is the sort of eyeshadow palette that, again, gives you options. It does have more shades than I normally reach for. There are 16 shades in here, and I'm normally going for something that's just a little bit more curated, just a little bit smaller. But the first time I tried this, I finally understood why so many people are in love with Nabla as a brand. I tried some of their cutie palettes. They were nice. I really like one of them, but this was my first introduction to more than just like a smaller curated palette. I feel like the rest of what Nabla has at the moment tends to be a little bit more vibrant, and I am definitely a natural neutrals kind of fan. This calls to me more than like their Poison Garden or other things. Although they're beautiful, there's just too many shades in there I wouldn't use. But a great formula and a fantastic palette with options for summer. Last palette I have for you is very different from the rest. I feel like the rest of them, you definitely saw the summer influence, the warm, the bronzies. You know, this has a very different color story to it. But it's so beautiful. If you like cool eyeshadows and you haven't tried this, this one's worth your time. This is Rose Quartz from Huda Beauty. This is one of those that has a very, I mean, we've got a few warm shades in here, but most of this is like really, really, really on the cool side. This is the sort of stuff that I like to pull out when I want to do something that maybe pushes me outside of my comfort zone. Because like we have shades like this, or ones that have a little bit more of a duochrome flip to it. I feel like these are really beautiful. I love also the mattes in here. These are, I feel, just slightly harder pressed than the ones from Sydney Grace, than the ones from Nabla, but they can also be very easy to sheer out. You don't necessarily have to have them this dark, but look at how beautiful these are together. These cooler tones, they're just stunning. These are the shades right here that make me feel playful for summer. The sorts, especially things like this, that bring a pop of color. I know these are really neutral and cool leaning neutrals, except for that kind of purpley blue one, but a lot of times I stick to something like this. And this palette is a great way for me to try things that I normally wouldn't reach for, while still having some security shades in here. You know, shades like this, shades like these guys here. But because they all are meant to go together, I can reach in for one of these shades and really make a more playful look. This is fun. I feel like sometimes summer makeup is either all bronzy or hardly anything, but I forget sometimes to play with color. I don't frequently during the rest of the year, but I really am excited to do it in spring and summer. So if you have this Rose Quartz, pull it out, play with it, have some fun, reach for one of the shades you normally don't reach for. My goal in choosing these 10 palettes were to choose palettes that are not brand new. Some of these are on the newer side, but you know, they've been out for several months now. They're not like the brand new, new things that everyone's going for summer releases. But to kind of remind you that you probably already have stuff that you love. Don't go out and buy a new eyeshadow palette when you have beauties like this just sitting in your collection. Pull them out. Try some of those shades you've never tried before. Push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Or if you always do a really elaborate eye look, what happens if you use one or two shades? Just shake things up. That's the fun part about summer makeup for me, is doing something different than my norm. And sometimes leaning heavily into what I love, which is a really fun, warm, bronzy look. Thank you so much for watching today. I would love to know what eyeshadows, maybe tones, maybe brands that you habitually reach for in the summer. Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you have any of these, are these some of your faves for summer? Thank you so much for watching. Have an incredible day, and I'll see you again soon.